Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Tuesday night Dynasty HeatSeekers live stream. I'm your host, Bryce Frazier, and I'm joined by the always reliable Anthony Leone. Leone, how are we doing today?
I'm doing really good. Glad to be here. We had a bunch of good games this past weekend. With Thanksgiving, it kicked off a little early, ended pretty strong with the game last night. So I thought it was a good weekend overall for me. How'd you do fantasy wise?
I won in like a lot of big like leagues where I needed to win.
Good.
Kind of kept me in the playoff hunt in a couple that my team really has a chance. It's just kind of one of those teams where I've got a lot of points against, like second most points for, but I'm still like right outside the playoff picture. But if I tie up some of these overall records, I've got all the tiebreakers because of points. And then it put me in the playoff picture in some leagues where I really have no business being in them. So one league, I made the mistake. My schedule's been really crazy busy lately, and I made the mistake of not taking Justin Fields out of one of my lineups, and
Oh yeah.
still won.
Oh
So
wow, good.
yeah, definitely got lucky there. I mean, I would have only plugged in Tom Brady, and 20 points, still 20 points, but definitely wasn't expecting that because this is like a league. I lost Brees Hall and kind of traded away Saquon Barkley to kind of build for the future. But my wide receiver core is so strong that it literally could carry me through the
Yeah.
playoffs. Like if we made it, because it's stacked in that department. Just running back, tight end is not ideal. But it was a good week for me. The Patriots, even though they lost, and I didn't get to watch the full game because of my I work so early. The offense looked alive, which was nice. I would rather lose and have an offensive performance like that with a young quarterback than win and see like our veteran defense kind of playing that well, because the quarterback ideally is the future. And then we play again this Thursday night, which should be a
Yeah.
interesting game against
Against Buffalo Bills, right?
yeah. Um, so we'll see how that goes. We don't currently have any live viewers right now, so we can just kind of hang out and talk amongst ourselves. Maybe people will be watching this later on.
Well, there's some injury stuff to go over too. I mean, Najee Harris was knocked out of the game. And that's kind of a bummer, man, because
Yeah.
he started out strong, scored a touchdown, and then he had an abdominal injury and just left the game.
So I didn't get to watch that game at all last night. And I watched all the highlights. And they don't go over the injury in the highlights or anything like that. But I heard that he came out, but then he went in to score that touchdown, and he never came out after half. Is that correct?
I mean, to me, it looked like he got hurt on the touchdown play, but maybe it just hurt because he was already previously hurt.
Yeah. That's what
Um,
I read, that he came in to score the touchdown, and then
but you could tell after he scored, he was. I mean, you could tell he was banged up. He didn't, he didn't come back after that play. And it was
yeah.
really a bummer. I mean, I think, I want to give a shout out to the Inferno redraft. They do the Roto Heat stream on Wednesday, and they said, Najee Harris was a great buy for the end of the season, and it looked like he kind of had an extra pep in his step and was looking pretty good, and it looked like a great shout. But I'm afraid now with this injury, he may be done for the year. So if you're counting on him at the end of this year, I think it's just bad timing. I think it presents another good buy opportunity. Even if you're contending, I mean, you can always get running back depth for next year. I mean, you might be able to get Najee Harris for a first round pick next year. Same goes for like Javonte Williams. I mean, would you be willing to pay a late first if you're contending, just for additional running back help in the future with a late first? What do you think about that, Bryce?
If I'm contending and I've got a first, I would probably want to get some guys to help me now, you know.
But if you already have, four pretty good running backs, I mean, isn't that something where you could just say, look, if I'm doing this rookie draft next year, I would much rather have Najee Harris than, X player, in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if Najee's out yet. So he's probably worth the risk. Javonte Williams, I just think that his price is going to be lower like this offseason. When we find out that when inevitably he's not going to be available for like half of the whole next season. So yeah, sure, I'll trade that first for that pick. But unless my team is like dominant and I know I'm gonna win, I would definitely want a guy to like help me now and do that. So it would be harder for me to get rid of that pick. In the sense of I would want that help right now.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't get it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't see why not. So let me pivot with this Najee information that you came out with, and go where I'm in a situation where right now I'm 7-5 and I'm the sixth seed, in this league, and it's kind of spread out outside the top two guys where we're all like within a game or maybe two games of each other. Like if I win the next two games, I could easily be like the 3 seed, where I could technically lose the next two games and still potentially still be in the playoff picture if the guys around me do.
Right.
So I have Najee in that league. So I kind of asked this questions earlier today, didn't give you any context, and people in the chat, or people watching right now, you answer it here in the chat too. Would you trade Najee Harris right now in a dynasty league for like Ramondre Stevenson? Because the guy who has Ramondre isn't competing. And I'm really kind of debating this. I'm kind of waiting on that injury report to come out tomorrow. If Najee is missing any time at all, I think I'm going to send that offer, because I sent earlier before Rashad White started to get a lot more touches, Najee for White and Ramondre, and he declined, but he said it was a very interesting offer and he liked it, but he said he thinks he's going to try and keep the young piece because Najee is actually younger than Ramondre by like a month, but. Now, hearing that context, would you do it now?
I would probably want Najee, even if he's going to be hurt. I just think the value is too great. As long as I have someone else who I could use in his place that I feel semi-comfortable with, then I would do that.
Yeah.
So, like, if you had Najee Harris, who would you be starting if he does miss time?
It kind of depends on other injuries. Like, for example, my other running back situation. Well, I earlier in the season, I traded Javonte Williams and like a 3rd round pick for Najee, or like a 2nd round pick in 2024, something like that. So my running back situation outside of Najee is Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Pacheco, and James Conner. James Conner's got bye week next week.
Yeah, see, I'd rather have Najee. I'll ride with who you have.
Well, that's
what I would do.
Those guys all started this last week, but I've got also Kadarius Toney and Jerry Jeudy who are hurt and haven't been playing. So if either one of them are able to play this next week, actually, ideally both of them, because I've got James Conner and Najee that might not be playing. I would need kind of both of those guys in my lineup, but yeah. So it just kind of depends, but if I can kind of weather the storm next week, then it's looking all right as long as one of either Kadarius Toney and or Jerry Jeudy's playing. Ideally, Jerry Jeudy, because he's been producing he was producing pretty well before his injury. So, it's just curious. I think it's really close. Obviously, I think that, or I wouldn't even be debating the offer. I just don't know what Bill Belichick will do in the future at the running back position.
That's what I'm always worried about with running backs in New England, is you never know who's going to be the carrying the ball, how many guys they're going to have, who they're going to distribute the ball to.
We just haven't. I have not seen. I mean, I can't think of the last guy that I have seen where Bill Belichick gives him, he has him in for this passing work and running work. Like, it's either like somebody in, it's like Garrett Blount and James White. You saw one doing one doing the other. Before that, it was like Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and I don't even remember Kevin Falk. So it's the Ramondre situation is definitely unique to me. And I've always stayed away from Patriot running backs until kind of the way I see Ramondre there, because Damian Harris probably won't be there next year, but it wouldn't surprise me if they get one of these rookie running backs that they draft, one of the 2 rookie running backs they drafted this last year involved, because I think one's on the active roster and then I think one might be on the practice squad. So, it's just a debate. I think, Ramondre has been a pleasant surprise. I just wish I would have put more of a fantasy. I wish I would have gathered more fantasy assets of him before he gained this much value. So, guys in the chat, if we got a couple of viewers now. So guys, today's show is just kind of a Q&A. Ask your questions, and if we're talking about stuff, please put some of your opinions in here. We'll put them up on the screen. It's always good to get more than just a couple of opinions on stuff. And I like this first question, and I'm curious to see your thoughts on it, Leone. Isaiah Pacheco or Swift this week, full PPR?
And also, real quick before we get into that,
yeah.
Also, if anyone has any questions about just Dynasty in general,
anything,
I think this would be a good stream to touch that. A lot of people haven't played Dynasty. A lot of people are maybe getting into it for the first time this year and have some just questions about, how it all kind of works. So that would be a good question.
Absolutely.
Well.
I think it's a good one.
For me, this one is pretty easily Pacheco, actually. And I don't think I would have ever thought I'd say that, several weeks ago. But DeAndre Swift, he's just not getting enough touches for me. I mean, he gets a touchdown to kind of bail him out, but you can't really count on that every week. He's not the main rusher in this offense. They obviously lean on Jamal Williams in most rushing situations, short yardage, goal line. Now, granted, Swift did get a goal line carry and did score on his goal line carry this past week, but there's just not enough volume for me to get behind him and confidently start him. Whereas I think Pacheco is the main running back on this team. He is getting the main looks. I know they recently brought in Melvin Gordon. I don't expect him to be a factor this week. McKinnon is, obviously in the passing game for them. They like, him out of the backfield catching the ball. But even still, I think Pacheco is getting enough volume where it just makes him the right play. And I think he's a pretty strong RB2, whereas I think Swift is falling down to the flex territory. Bryce, what do you think?
Yeah, and not even a good flex option at this point. I mean, he had 9 touches this last on Thanksgiving against Buffalo, in a game where you'd think that a passing down back would have got a lot more work, to Isaiah Pacheco seeing 23 touches, 22 of them being rushes, but he did get a catch, which was a pleasant surprise. I'm Isaiah Pacheco here too. And it's rather easy for me as well. I really like him moving forward. He is by far the Chiefs' best running back and main ball carrier. I think that he is going to be he is like one of the guys I am really excited for in a dynasty format, because I think Andy Reid would really, really like to have a run game, especially in the playoffs, to lean on, work out of that play action, especially since the receiving core is really nothing special and always injured. So I think if they can keep more of a running threat in that offense, they kind of makes them a little bit more dynamic and harder to read, because when you put Patrick Mahomes back there 50 times a game, eventually one team figures out how to maybe give him a regular game. But now if you got to kind of make sure the box has enough people to where the run game is a factor, it opens up a lot more for Pat Mahomes in the passing game. So this Pacheco question, it kind of goes me back to a trade I made a while ago with Rick in the Grand Prix, which is my biggest league with him, the $250 league that we do, Dynasty League. And I traded Alvin Kamara for Isaiah Pacheco in a first rounder. And right now that first round pick is pick number 5. But Rick is in that situation where I was talking about earlier, like I am, where
and it's a super flex, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's a really nice pick.
Yes, and I need some help, especially at the quarterback position and running back position. I just have Pacheco and Najee right now, where Rick though is like tied kind of with, or is like one game back from like obviously the playoffs, and then he has all the tiebreakers because it goes by points next, and he's at like the second most points in the league. So I'm hoping that he loses again, because he actually plays a really good team this next week. And if he loses and then like I think 2 people win, he's guaranteed out of the playoffs. And now I've got a top 6 picks.
Right.
I've got pick number 2 locked. So well, actually no, my team's starting to win surprisingly. So I might have pick number 2 or 3. Hopefully I lose, but in this league you have to somewhat start your best roster, and I'm not going to cheat in any way. I'm going to start the guys I think that are the best players. Or at least it's questionable. So I'll be like, I like this guy because of his matchup, but it's guys like Christian Watson and George Pickens who are now playing well and winning me games, and Najee. So I'm really not mad about Najee getting hurt for that league, at least. So it gives me a hole at running back that
Now,
I can lose.
you made a comment that you're really excited for Pacheco in Dynasty, and granted, I am as well. Although, if you could trade Pacheco right now for like a late first round pick, would you trade him straight up right now for a late first round pick?
Right now, I have a lot of concern of the running back depth in this draft. Jahmyr Gibbs was looking to be like a first round pick in dynasty formats, and Alabama kind of benched him. So I'm now a little bit concerned on outside of like two guys, which
And
would
let's
be,
talk about one quarterback league. I mean, in a one quarterback league, is that an easy take the first? Or would you rather have Pacheco because you're kind of worried about value slipping to the end of the draft?
I think I would almost have to wait and see what I think the draft is going to look like with a guy like Pacheco, who
Kind
I
of a
think
weak
now,
answer.
I
Kind of a
think
weak
Pacheco,
answer, Bryce.
huh?
Kind of a weak answer.
I think right now Pacheco's like a hard. I just don't think it's a good. I don't think he's a good player to sell because his numbers are just constantly going up in the sense of like his touches. If they stay around this, no, I'm not getting rid of Pacheco. If he's getting 20 plus touches a week in a Chiefs offense, there's no way. I mean, who could you possibly get in a one quarterback or even a super flex in the late first that's going to like have that touchdown upside?
But do we
In
expect
a running
Pacheco
back
to have
position?
this sort of volume next year after they potentially draft or sign someone else in free agency?
I don't think it happens. I really don't. I think they just have holes everywhere else where Andy Reid doesn't really care about running back. Like he never when has he really ever went out there and bought, like he's always like drafted them and used them. And he grows attached to players too. So and we saw that with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I feel like he kind of gave him more than
Well, he was a first round pick.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'm just saying, Pacheco is obviously a 7th-round pick, like he was drafted. But I think that the way the kid plays, and his attitude, and the way he like kind of talks about him, I know they always coaches say good things about their players to media, but like he's not getting 23 touches if he doesn't deserve them. So like Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't getting that amount of volume, and he was a first overall pick.
right.
Like I'd be curious to see how many 20 plus touch games Clyde Edwards-Helaire had in his career. I'd be very interested to see that. So, all right, let's get to this next question by Clamped Ease. It's a trade question. Should I accept this trade? I'm getting Saquon Barkley for Ramondre Stevenson and Marquise Brown. I will take Saquon here.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Saquon as well. Especially if it's dynasty. If it's redraft, it gets a little bit interesting. I mean, how much different is Saquon from Ramondre rest of season? I mean, honestly.
No, I think in redraft it's definitely a decent. I think it's fair. If anything, I could see why someone would pick maybe Ramondre and Marquise, and maybe it's one of those cooler redraft leagues where you got like 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Because a lot of redraft leagues, especially like novice ones, I feel like people that don't really get super into fantasy and they just kind of play it, just do like 1 flex position. I could see how Marquise Brown would be a much better second flex option because he got a lot more targets than I thought he would. Just didn't really have quite the production I'd like to see out of it, but I like the target share that he got. But I'll still take Saquon in a dynasty format, especially since he and Ramondre, I think, are the same age. I think he's only a year older than Ramondre. And then I still like Marquise. I mean, I like both sides, but I'll take Saquon. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. I would lean on the Saquon side, whether it's dynasty or redraft. But I still do think it's pretty fair, especially in redraft. And to answer your question, in 2020, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 3 games with 20 or more carries.
3?
In 2020, his rookie season. In 2021, he had absolutely none. And then this year, he has not had 20, although he did have 1 game with 19. So, and that doesn't include any of his catches, although he hasn't really caught, more than 3 or 4 balls in really any of his games in his career. I think his most is 6 or 5, maybe 6 one time, 5 another time.
Yeah, so he got them all his rookie season, which was utterly disappointing, and the rest of his career obviously went downhill from there. In Dynasty, so this question confuses me a little bit here, Meech T. In Dynasty, should I keep Swift, Pacheco, or Brian Robinson? Also have JT and Brees Hall. It sounds more like a redraft, or I'm sorry,
A keeper. Sounds like a keeper question. Yeah.
It's a keeper league though, and you have to choose between these 3 people.
It is. It's easy. One time. Come on, Bryce.
I think you have to keep DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, of course you keep DeAndre Swift. Come on.
It's not that easy for me, but I don't think Swift will be a Lion next year.
Swift is the much better athlete. He has the much higher draft capital. He is the most dynamic player of the bunch. He is currently in the wrong side of a timeshare, but he's hurt. He's hurt. I mean,
isn't he always though? Is that concern for you at all? I mean, this is a running back now that's been hurt every year. Every year. Third. I mean, I know it's a short career, 3 years in a row, though. I mean, it's a little concerning, isn't it?
It's Swift. It's Swift. And if you're that concerned about
Swift,
trade Swift.
But I mean,
you trade him. Trade him. If you're not going to keep Swift over these 3 guys, just trade him now. Trade him whenever you can.
Could Swift be Javid Best?
I mean, anyone can be anyone if they keep getting hurt. But I'm just saying.
But, I mean, that's what I think. Like for some reason, like his career path, and I don't remember Javid Best super well because I wasn't super deep and I wasn't as involved in fantasy at the time. But I just know that at the time I wasn't. Javid Best was like a hot commodity, and it's just like injury after injury after injury after injury. Every single year kept him off on your IR spot and everything. And it's like eventually he basically injured himself to have no value. I mean, so I just have a little bit of concern with that, but I really don't think DeAndre Swift will be a Lion much longer. I've heard reports that he is unhappy with the way he's being used in the organization. So it wouldn't surprise me if DeAndre Swift was not a Lion next year or at some point next year, which would be a lot better. So I'll keep the talent for sure still, but it's crazy that it's not like, I don't think it's like super, super, super fast to me, but I also might be just a Pacheco truther at this point. But I'll keep Swift, but it wouldn't surprise me if next year this answer is not him. It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it will be.
I don't know. Jaws kind of believes is on the same track, I think, as both of us. Like close call on Ramondre and Najee. I'd want a little juice on top of it to give up Najee, and I kind of with you on that too. I want maybe a second or a third. I haven't offered the trade or anything, but I
need more than that. I mean,
really,
personally,
I think second round picks, especially like mid to early ones in this next draft, are gonna be somewhat relatively close to late first, in the sense of value of players that drop to that area.
In Superflex, yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, in a Superflex. Yep, you're correct. Which is pretty much all I play. I don't have any 1 QB dynasty leagues. Jaws asked another one. Follows it up. Matt Corral or Justin Ross? Ooh, I like these ones. What do you like here? Oh, 1 QB.
I mean, in 1 QB, it's easy.
1 QB is Justin Ross for me.
Yeah, you keep Ross.
If this is Superflex, then I might consider Matt Corral.
You keeping Corral.
Yeah, in a Superflex.
In a Superflex, I would keep Corral. In a 1 QB, I would just keep Justin Ross.
It'd be cool if you didn't have to make this decision until after the draft, like the NFL draft, because then you could be like, well, okay, the Panthers drafted a quarterback. I'll just keep Justin Ross at that point. But if they didn't for some reason, yeah, I'd keep Matt Corral.
I mean, you can keep Matt Corral either way. It's extremely unlikely Justin Ross ever becomes relevant in the league anyway. Granted, the same can be said for Matt Corral, but at least he, is active and, has a clearer path to starting. So, I mean, you could keep Corral either way, but in a 1 quarterback league for me, I mean, second and third string quarterbacks are on the waiver wire. It doesn't matter how deep your league is. It's just not necessary to keep them. So I would keep Ross in a 1 QB league. myself. But I wouldn't blame you if you decided to keep Matt Corral anyway.
Crazy to start Deshaun over Jimmy G strings this week.
Jimmy G string. It's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that one before.
Well, I've seen it before. It's pretty.
You've seen that before?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's crazy.
I think Jimmy's in a good G spot to put up a lot of points this week.
What did he get this last
How's
week?
Jimmy G spot? How does that sound? You like that one?
No, it's definitely perverted.
You don't like Jimmy G spot, but Jimmy G string was okay.
Let me see what Jimmy Garoppolo has done these past few weeks. I have him in a league where my team is absolutely atrocious.
Jimmy G spot.
Well, I mean, geez. Oh, this league's kind of weird scoring because we get, like, I think a certain amount of points per completion, like maybe 0.2 or 2.5.
Jimmy G spot start. Let's go. Week 12. Jimmy G spot start. Week 12 against the Miami Dolphins. He will outscore Deshaun. Hasn't played in almost 2 years, Watson.
Is it crazy? No.
I would bet it. No, it's not crazy. I don't think it's crazy, but I would still start.
I don't know.
Garoppolo.
Watson against his old team, practicing. I don't know.
You want to bet? You want to bet this one? We haven't had a bet all year. This would be a fun bet.
Yeah, we can bet a little $5 fun bet.
You want to do a $5 bet on this one?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, just fantasy points. And
yeah. Just
we'll use the scoring in your.
Just a PPR, 4 points per passing touchdown.
Yeah.
You can get it for your yards, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, we can do that. Yep, I'll take the rushing also upside that Deshaun Watson gives you. Not a ton, but still some. I'm a first-year fantasy player. Seems like everyone around me is telling me I have a good wide receiver core. Lamb, Olave, A.J. Brown. Should I be looking to upgrade someone or ride it out? Yeah, it's a good wide receiver core for sure. You got some two lower-end wide receiver ones along with solid Chris Olave. All of them are pretty inconsistent is the only issue, which is players I prefer like more consistent, like 10.4 players that have still like your or I should say like maybe 12, 13.4 players that also can give you like usually score you like 18 or up, where it's like AJ Brown's like 30 or 5. Olave seems to be like 25 or 6 or 7, and then Lamb is kind of inconsistent as well, but he's been more consistent this year. But it's hard to answer some of these like questions to upgrade someone because I don't think it's necessary.
And we don't have any context with the rest of your team.
Yeah. I'd like to see what your running backs look like, I guess. But I have no problem just riding it out with these three individuals. I feel comfortable putting them in my weekly lineup.
I agree.
So not a big problem. Two of them just have bad quarterbacks, two of them have quarterbacks that one of them, Olave, doesn't have a good quarterback, and then AJ Brown, the quarterback's better at running the ball than he is throwing the ball. Is the only main concern for those two guys, but Lamb is fine.
I don't know if that's fair to say about Hurts. I think Hurts can throw the ball pretty well.
You think so? Let's look at his box score because this is 3 weeks in a row. Like AJ Brown had a decent week, 16 points, but prior to that, he had 2 weeks with 10 sub 10-point weeks. And I was kind of looking at Jalen Hurts' numbers where he threw this past game. He threw for barely more than he ran. So the past 3 weeks, Jalen Hurts is 175 passing yards, 190 passing yards, and 153. So he hasn't even eclipsed 200 passing yards. Now, that's not necessarily a knock on him as a thrower, but when you run it as much as he does, and you don't need to throw it that much, that's when it becomes a concern. It's not that he's a bad passer; it's just that they don't have to pass it that much when he's doing both very efficiently.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. That sounds fair.
Yeah. And that number 2 receiver is with Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is also no joke. He's going to get his fair share. So it's kind of like a lot of mouths to feed. And then when Dallas Goedert comes back, he's got to be throwing for 250 plus. It seems like to give at least 2 of those guys pretty good value. Jaws liked your Jimmy G spot.
It's not my G spot.
What
No,
was
go
it?
back. Go back up. Go back up. We skipped that one. You were.
Oh, I
just
did.
on.
Yeah. Played Jamal Williams this week while James Conner outperformed him. Played Conner last week and Williams outperformed him. Who should I rely on for my running back 2 spot? CMC is my running back 1.
Either Jamal Williams or Connor. Just pick the right one next time.
Jeez.
Come on, Brian.
I think you could go. I think with these 2 guys, you think you can go matchup based.
I don't know. He probably did that last time. It didn't work out.
I mean,
I don't know.
Like if James Conner had how many points this past week?
I don't know. Let's see who they're playing this week.
He had a very good week.
Let's see who they're playing. I got it right here.
Yeah, James Conner had 21 points.
Connor is playing.
Connor's on bye, so it's an easy decision this week. But moving forward, I think you could just go who has the best matchup. I mean, James Conner just had 21 carries, and 3 receptions, and that's low for him on receptions. So if he's getting 15 plus carries a week, along with the normal work that he gets in the pass game, I'm probably starting James Conner personally, for the guaranteed volume. But
I think this bye week comes at a really good time, actually. So I agree with you. I mean, I think they have bye this week. He has a full week to get healthy. You can play Jamal Williams, not worry about it this week. And then next week, off the bye, you would imagine he's healthier, feeling good. I agree. I think Connor would be the guy I more likely will lean on going forward, unless the matchup is just, unreal.
Right.
That was a good question, though. And I did see that video. I don't know if you saw that, Bryce.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help that freaking Jimmy Garoppolo looks like Superman. Yeah. Is he married? Jimmy G?
I think he has a girlfriend.
Yeah. I know Christian McCaffrey's got the Instagram model or whoever girlfriend, but I didn't know about Jimmy G.
I know he's not married. I know for sure he's not married.
You keep updated on your 49ers.
Well, no, I mean, it's all over the news around here.
True.
He's dating Alexandra King. Alexandra King is who he's dating. It's like some Instagram model, I think. Yes, it is. Some Instagram model. And I am just going to start cruising the internet right now. You can keep answering questions.
We only got one more, and I think we're just going to cut it.
Okay. All right, never mind. All right. I'll get out the...
and I think this one's easy for me. I'm kind of curious on your thoughts. Pick up. I'm assuming this is the running back for the Jets. Bam.
That's his nickname.
Warren,
Bam.
Yeah. Jalen Warren or Jermichael Hasty.
Zonovan Bam Knight. Okay, so Christian, this is a great question. I'm not going to give you an easy answer, but I will give you enough information for you to make your own decision the right way. So, if you need someone to start this week, I would pick up Zonovan Knight. I think you can flex him this week. Not concerned about it. If you think you might need someone like in the playoffs, like as an RB2, as a flex play later on in the playoffs, then that's when I would pick up Jalen Warren, because I do think it's possible that Najee Harris misses the rest of the season, or at least goes on IR, misses 4 games, and Jalen Warren could be relevant next week, the week after, whereas Zonovan Knight wouldn't be. If you are more confident than I am that Travis Etienne isn't going to play, then I think Hasty would be a better pickup overnight, but I don't think Etienne is going to miss the game. So to recap, if you're looking for a Week 12 start and that's about it, for me, it's Zonovan Knight. If you're looking for something maybe more long-term, maybe like, Jimmy G's girlfriend, take things a little slow, see how things go in a couple weeks, then I think it's Jalen Warren. Bryce, do you agree or disagree with anything I just said?
What's wrong with Michael Carter Jr.? Is there anything
wrong? He has an ankle sprain, low ankle sprain. He'll probably miss this week. I don't think he'll miss more than a week or two. They're in playoff contention. They're going to get him back as quickly as possible.
James Robinson was a healthy scratch.
James Robinson. James Robinson. James Robinson. I think he's hurt. Isn't he hurt?
No, he was a healthy scratch. So the only, I don't mind Zonovan Knight, but I think Jalen Warren is a more secure piece, especially if we see that Najee is going to miss substantial time, whether it's the rest of the season or at least the rest of the fantasy season. So I will just go Jalen Warren altogether. Sure, Bam Knight could be the right decision here. I think he's easily the second option, where JaMychal Hasty is the third, especially since Travis Etienne was apparently cleared to come back to play, but they kind of just played it safe with him. He's an easy third for me here, where it wouldn't surprise me if James Robinson is not a healthy scratch next week and is the main ball carrier, where Bam Knight is the backup.
Why did they trade for James Robinson? Why would they just healthy scratch him 2 weeks later? Is he doing that poorly?
Who knows? I don't really know if
he was a healthy scratch.
Salah is. I don't know. His coaching style to me is confusing, but they're winning games now with Mikey White at QB. So I'll go Jalen Warren here in the hopes of not. I don't hope this, but I would pick him up with the hopes that Najee Harris is going to miss some substantial time. They're not in any chance to make the playoffs or win the division or anything like that, so it makes no sense to rush him back. I'll take him. Thinking that he easily gets the most touches when he does come back. So that's my answer pretty easily here. So
yeah, my answer, even though I didn't realize James Robinson was a healthy scratch, I would still pick up Zonovan Knight if you need a Week 12 win. Of them all, I think he'll get the most work and the most touches.
His name will look a lot cooler in your lineup, that's for sure.
Zonovan, what a cool name, Zonovan.
Yeah,
Zonovan Knight.
I mean, the last name Knight, like.
Yeah. He doesn't need a nickname like Bam. He already has a cool name.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's going to be it for us today. I mean, we got 2 more weeks of the fantasy season, regular fantasy season.
Yeah, we have week 13 and then week 14. That's when most leagues,
that'll be it. That's usually it for us. I mean, we don't really continue these streams into the playoffs. At least that's what it was like in previous years.
And I will add real quick, if you have a dynasty team and you're out of it, and you roster, kickers and defenses and stuff, I would just drop them. I would just pick up, some upside guy. Any one of these 3 running backs, I'd rather roster over a guy you don't really need, or if you have like an older guy who's hurt, even like Julio Jones, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sense in keeping these old vets like that no one would want. So
yeah.
This is the time of the year.
Take some 4th round, 3rd or 4th round picks.
Yeah, this is the time of the year when you're out of it. You really should be. You should be more active now than ever, because there are so many little things you can do to your dynasty roster right now that a lot of other people aren't doing because they've checked out. But this is like the sweet spot to really get your stuff set up nicely for 2023.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not in the league at all, and I sent probably 5 trades today. Made one. I sent, and I'll end it with that. And it's the one you already know about, Leone. I traded away Marquise Brown and Zamir White for Cooper Kupp, and I plan on flipping Cooper Kupp ideally tonight before I go to bed. So we'll see.
Now we know the real reason why you want to end the stream 20 minutes early.
Oh yeah, I got to go to bed. I work at like 2:30 in the morning, and it's already 8:30. Long 12-hour days for me. This pretty much until next year. So finish up peak season here.
That's good. I want you to trade Cooper Kupp tonight. That's your goal. That's your homework.
Yeah, if not, I'll trade him tomorrow morning, because there's another guy that works like 3rd shift that I'm trying to trade with.
Well, don't even give us details. We'll talk about it next week. I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect.
And don't forget my G-spot bet.
Oh yeah, you won't forget. You'll have to remind me. I make a lot of bets. So alrighty, we'll see you guys next week. Good luck to all your fantasy seasons. And last one before we go.
Oh, Shaka. Let's go.
Trade Rachaad White for Monty. I think I'll hold on to Rachaad White.
In Dynasty,
Still holding on to Rashad White.
wow, that's really interesting. In Dynasty, I'd rather have Rashad White given the age. In redraft,
Monty's out for the year in redraft.
what?
Oh, for Monty. Oh,
No.
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery. Yeah.
Sorry, for some reason I read that and read Mooney.
Oh yeah.
Oh, redraft. Give me David Montgomery.
See, I don't know because I'm concerned about what's his face coming back.
Leonard
Herbert.
Fournette.
No, Herbert.
Oh, yeah,
I
but
mean-
I think Leonard Fournette eats more into
Rashad Wright than
Yeah.
Interesting.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with Montgomery. I think he's
I'll
in
take
another.
Montgomery in a redraft
Yeah, I'm good with that.
for sure. Alrighty. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
See ya.